Hey guys, welcome back to The Crafty Couple. I am super excited for today's video. This is probably one of my favorite projects that I've done. Absolutely love how it turned out. Now I did just kind of get the idea yesterday, so I hope that the instructions make sense. I'll try to do my best, but let's jump in and get started. To begin, we're going to be using 3 of these wood stakes from Walmart. So if you have leftovers, feel free to use that. If you're using a new one, what you're going to need to do is measure out 9.5 inches. So what we want to do is take one of those stakes and we want 2 pieces that are 9.5 inches. So go ahead and mark that and cut those. Now, like I said, if you have these pieces, you know how much I like to use these wood stakes. I think they look really good on these projects and they're only about $1.80 each. So if you have some extras from previous projects, make sure to use that up, but you can always start with a fresh stake. To cut our wood pieces, I'm going to be using this Black & Decker jigsaw. It's really easy to use on these small wood pieces, so go ahead and line it up, make sure that it is flush with the wood, and pull that trigger all the way down. Once we have our 2 9.5 inches cut, I'm going to take one of those pieces and I'm going to mark it right in the middle. And that's just for a little bit later so that we know where to line up our other wood pieces. Once we have that first piece marked in the middle, we can grab our second piece, and this one we actually need to make an inch smaller. So the first thing that we're gonna do here is you wanna cut off an inch on the end. I didn't actually show this in the video, so cut an inch off the end, and then you wanna take the 8.5 inches that are left and you want to mark it right where I did at 4 1/4. So you should have 2 equal pieces that are 4 1/4 and then one small piece that is an inch. So you can see those 2 4 1/4 pieces will fit on each side of our full 9.5 inch long, and then you should have this 1 inch square piece. So the wood itself is about 1 inch thick, and that's why you should have this 1 by 1 inch square. And then we're going to use that as a template. If you have some extra wood or if you're just using a new stake, you want to mark 3 more spots. So we want to have a total of 4 of those 1 inch squares. Once those pieces are cut, I'm just going to show you an example of how this is going to all come together for the base. We won't actually put it together right now, we'll save that for later. I just wanted to give you an idea. For the wood pieces that are going to go vertical and create the height of our lantern, we want to use a full piece of this wood. So they measure about 34 inches long before it starts tapering down to that point. And to utilize as much of the wood as possible and save ourselves money, we're going to split that in half. So you want to measure it and mark it at 17 inches and then again at 34 inches. That way we can get 2 pieces of wood out of this. If you don't have any leftover wood, you will need about 3 of these stakes. One of them will be used for creating the base, and then 2 of them will be used for the vertical wood pieces. After we've cut all those pieces, we're going to move on to staining, and I'm using this early American stain from Minwax to go ahead and go over all the pieces. After they're cut, you should have 4 of those long wood pieces. We should have 1 of those 9.5 inch pieces, 2 of those 4 1/4 pieces, and then 4 of these small 1 inch squares. And the reason I like to stain first before gluing is sometimes the glue, if you have it on a piece and you try to stain it, it won't stain where the glue is. So I always try to do the staining first. Okay, once we have all the pieces cut and stained, we can move on to assembling the base. So you want to take that longer piece and flip it upside down, whichever side you want to be the top side. Just make sure you flip it upside down and glue on one of those 1 inch squares just like that. And then we're going to do that again on the other side. Now I would highly recommend that if you're doing this project to use a stronger glue. Maybe E6000, wood glue, and you can even use some staples for different parts of this project, but it will make it a lot sturdier. It works really well for what we're doing time purposes with the hot glue since it dries so fast. We want to make sure that we can get these videos out for you guys, but if you're recreating it, I would definitely use something stronger. Once we've completed that longer piece, we can move on to our shorter pieces. Now remember, these are the ones that are going to intersect with that long piece. So you only want to glue a 1-inch square on each piece. So do the same thing, flip that upside down, grab one of the squares and then glue it on there. When you're gluing this, if you're using hot glue, I like to use quite a bit on there and then just put a little bit where that crease is, like I did there, just a quick line, and that will add quite a bit of strength to it. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other piece. Once you let the hot glue or your glue dry, we can move on to connecting it with the longer wood piece. So this is why we made that little mark earlier on that piece, so we can kind of get an idea of where center is. So you just want to line it up where you made that line earlier and glue it down. So I like to put glue on the end right here and then just connect it with that longer wood piece. And then you want to hold it there, give it time to glue because it's going to be a little bit unstable. What we'll do here in a second is we'll put a little bit of a wood piece underneath to make sure that we're giving that added strength. To add that support, I'm just using a craft stick from Dollar Tree. I went ahead and cut it down to make it smaller, and then I stained it with the early American stain so that it would all match. Now I went ahead and put quite a bit of hot glue on here, and if you can get into those little creases, that's perfect. And then go ahead and press firmly on that craft stick, give it a minute to dry, and that should actually add a lot of strength so that it's not wobbly or weak. For the part that's going to hold the vase and then that top cap part, I wanted to give you a couple options in case you couldn't find one. First would be this craft box and then this gift box. So this one you'll have to cut the string off of it, but either option will work, and I'm just using the lid. Now if you want to save some money, you could just use one of these, use the lid and then cut the base to match to that, so you're saving some money and you'd only have to buy one of these. And then what you want to do is, I'm using a matte black color from Krylon, and we're going to go ahead and spray paint both of those. And then one of them we're going to use for this base to hold the vase, and then the other one will be used for that top cap. And then I'm just putting a hefty amount of hot glue here on the wood base, and then go ahead and line it up. I just kind of eyeballed it to center and then line it up and press firmly on that. I wanted to add a little bit more to that top part and give it a handle, so I'm using these book rings, and I'm going to go ahead and spray paint this black as well, and then we'll glue that on the top. So this next part is a little bit tricky. What you want to do is you want to apply just a little bit of hot glue, not a ton, and you don't want to glue these straight down. If you glue them straight down, then it's going to be hard to move them around. But if you put just enough glue on there and glue them at an angle, you want to try and get it as close to an angle as it's going to be in the end where you connect the top piece. But if you glue it at an angle, you'll actually be able to move these around a little bit even after the glue's dried, so that we can align that top cap piece and connect all of these. So just kind of do what I'm doing here. You want to make sure that you're holding them in place long enough to let that glue dry enough to where it will hold these up at a vertical angle. Now this next part took me a couple attempts to make sure I got it right. What you want to do is you want to put quite a bit of hot glue or whatever glue you're using right on the ends of these wood pieces, and then I actually let a little bit of it drip down the side as well, since when we put this top piece on, it's going to be gluing it on the top of the wood pieces and then on the side. And then what you want to do is just push these together so that they fit right inside of that. And then once they're inside of it, you can kind of move them around and pull them out if you need to a little bit, but you can make some little adjustments to make sure it lines up correctly and that it has a solid hold. The last part to finish up our lantern is to add in our glass vase. So there's two different sizes of these vases, a smaller and a larger one. We're using the smaller one from Dollar Tree, and then a 6-inch candle from Michael's. Now, another thing that you could do is some fairy lights. I think especially if you're going for like a Christmas theme lantern, fairy lights would look really, really pretty in this. So either option, fairy lights or candles, I think would look fantastic. And here's 3 different options that I think would work perfect. This one is a little bit more of a boho modern look. And then this one we decorated for Christmas. I thought it looked amazing with the pine. And then this look here, a farmhouse. So you can do a ton of different options with this lantern. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to click through here and you can watch more of these high-end DIYs that we're doing. But as always, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can be notified every time we upload a new video.